The only thing I didn't like was the smell of the rink because they would bring the
Eggfest.
We're like, bro, that was a rude awakening for me. Like, I'm saying, what is that? He says, don't worry, you'll get used to it. And I only played a year there, but it was like, man, that is wretched. I said,
Please welcome to the program Pokey Reddick of Winnipeg Jets alumni on here on Black History Month as the Winnipeg Jets are set to take on the San Jose Sharks as we tape this podcast. You're an ambassador for this event. What does it mean to you to be a part of that?
It's actually a great honor to be a part of it. Growing up playing a sport that I love and knowing there's not a lot of, when I started in the 80's and stuff, there wasn't a lot of people of color and different natures of things. So to me, it was a big honor to break through as a goalie, obviously. Not just color, because playing, you don't really realize your color because you're too busy trying to stop the puck. So, but to me, being in Winnipeg was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great place to start. They opened their arms, embraced me, and I consider it like my second home. My first child was born here, so he came in to visit, so it's pretty awesome.
Let's talk about the month itself. Everything evolves over time. Do you like what the NHL has done with Black History Month in terms of giving back?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're coming in and knowing it's a different type of sport, meaning color-wise.
Right.
And they've opened up doors, and now you see a lot more kids of different nationalities, different colors, different races. So they've done a great job. Willie O'Ree's done an awesome job.
Yes.
So I take my hat off to that guy, and we have had to have somebody to look up to, and he's one of the guys that I looked up to. But, you know, I still had favored, because I'm a goalie, so I had a favorite goalie, which was Rogie Vachon back in the time. But goalies had masks on, so you don't really know what color they are, what they were. So it was it.
I listened to a video, or watched a video of you, and you were talking about Willie O'Ree, and let's quickly go over him. Like, he's still around.
Oh, yeah, he's
he was at the Four Nations Face-Off. He was in Boston. People love him.
Yeah.
What did he mean to you?
A lot. He meant a lot to not just myself, but any other black player in the day. You know, he can do it. So
yeah.
Let me see if I have the talent and being at the right place at the right time, maybe I get that opportunity. So that was always my goal, was to play in the National Hockey League. I didn't really look at my color. I just had to stop the puck, which was hard enough at that level. So, but he was always somebody that we can say, hey, look at him. He did great. So maybe we have that opportunity. When you get your opportunity, it's what you do with that opportunity. So
if I imagine you met Willie.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, every time you get a chance to meet your hero,
does it
live up to it, you know?
Yeah,
like
for
that?
sure. He was nothing more than, I can't even describe how, you know, it's one of those things you have to live it and go through it. You can't, there's no words to describe it. So
that's amazing, and just in that stuff tells you how special it is, right? Because you just when you can't
I've always
find the
heard
right
about
words.
him.
Yeah,
but I've never really, when I met him, it's like, okay, this guy's bigger than life, and he's not a big guy. I'm not a big guy either, but it was like, okay, I get it. No, so but great ambassador of the game.
Hey Jets fans, this is your chance to win big with Winnipeg Jets 50/50 tickets presented by Play Now. All proceeds will support the True North Youth Foundation. Get your tickets now by texting JETS to 20450.
Hi, I'm Mark Scheifele, and this is the Ground Control Podcast.
How did you become a goaltender? What's the genesis of your goaltending career look like?
It's crazy because it just started as, I have brothers. We started as socks.
Okay.
Rolled up socks, started throwing them at me, and they're younger than me. And then took it to the streets, ball hockey.
Yes. The orange ball?
Yeah. No.
No.
We didn't have an orange ball. We actually used pucks back in the day.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it was
fair.
like road hockey, street hockey. You move yourself around. And I said, hey, I like this position. You know, I got hurt a few times, and my mom got upset because we were using pucks, and we were probably like 8, 9, 10-ish.
It's not coming off the ground too
much.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, if you've played every Canadian kid has played some type of street hockey or ball hockey, and then it just, Mom, can you sign me up? I want to go play, I want to play this hockey game. So we started playing house league and just took off from there.
So with my recollection of house league, everybody gets a chance to play goals. So you were right a goaltender right away, right?
Just stayed. I didn't want nothing to do with it outside. once I figured being goalie outside and it's cold, I grew up in Toronto, I'm like, no, I'll run around because you get warmer. I'll put somebody else in there. And I just left the net part when I actually played the games. But I never tried to play a different position after that. Like,
That's wild.
Yeah,
That's. I mean, do you feel like it came to you naturally?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think that.
At what point were you sitting there? You're like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
pretty good. Where do you feel
I
like
didn't,
that?
I didn't really ever say I was pretty good. I just thought that this is the more natural position for me.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, back in our day, the goalies weren't. I couldn't play now because they're 6'8", like 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", like that. So it was just like this position felt good for me, and that's what I took and ran with.
So everybody at some point someone's telling you you're good enough to play major junior, possibly play in the NHL one day, play in the American Hockey League, minor pro. Where did you? It wasn't there, or was it still?
It wasn't like people like everybody has. Hockey's kind of unique, and everybody has their own path.
Right.
And you get a lot of no's before you get a yes.
Okay.
So to speak. And I'm saying it has no race, has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with ability going in. If a team wins the Memorial Cup and you come in, you're really not going to be the starting goalie because you're going to have to beat this guy out, right? So I think probably like my second year junior, I was playing in, I want to say, New West, and that's when I decided, okay, they started talking. I'm hearing more in the background. Maybe you'll get drafted. I didn't get drafted, blah, blah, blah. So I said, oh, here we go. What am I going to do, right? So once that passed, then people were talking, oh, maybe we can sign him. You want to go to this camp and that camp? So that's when I thought that I had opportunity to play this game at a higher level. So
Let's go back to when you didn't get drafted. At that point, were you like, okay, maybe this dream isn't over, or did that make you more determined?
Right. It was more of I'm going to show them they made a mistake. If they did, they did. If they didn't, they didn't. But I think a lot of people who go through that situation have a little bit more drive and a little bit more fire to not even prove anybody wrong, but just to prove yourself that, you can do this. And however long you do it for is up, that's different. But
Did that come from anybody in your family, or is this just like you showing others by yourself?
it's more, my parents were more play to have fun.
Yeah.
Respect the game, respect the people in the game, and then, if it works out, it works out. If not, at least you learn, because hockey comes with a lot of life lessons, and you take those I take those lessons to this day to teach my own boys and daughters I have. So it's just me.
Yeah.
It's just something that, everybody has their own passions, to whatever those may be, but that was my passion. And, I remember going to school, I'm going to play in the NHL. That's all I used to tell myself. I'm going to play, I'm going to play, I'm going to play, I'm going to play. And when it happened, I remember I played my first exhibition game, and it was against the Kings.
Okay.
It was Brandon. And I remember Fox came out. He says, hey, you're pretty good. Hey, what's your name? And I remember walking up, if you went to the old Keystone Center, it was just like everybody came in the same way, walked out.
Yeah.
It was just an exhibition game, right? That made me feel real good. Like, to this day, that was the thing that gave me maybe I could do it. Because it's hard to get in to play an exhibition game back in those days, right? So that was, and I played junior there, so it was actually like I won the Stanley Cup to me
Right.
at that particular time, right?
So, Brandon, take us through Brandon. What was your favorite part about being a Wee King? And I know it was only 1 year.
It was 1 year, but it was more, I think the Jets wanted me closer so they can see me play.
Yeah.
That's a great city. Brandon, I was already done school there, but it was like, I'm trying to think of some of the guys I played with. Derek Laxdal was there. So it was nice because I basically grew up in Toronto, but I played all my junior hockey out west.
Right.
So seeing Brandon, one thing I didn't like was the smell of the rink, because they would bring the
Eggfest.
We're like, bro.
Okay, listen. Did you ever drive? When I was with the Lethbridge Hurricanes, I was covering them. We drive into the Keystone Center, and I'm looking to my left, and there's cows going beside the bus.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was a rude awakening for me. Like, I'm saying, what is that? He says, don't worry, you'll get used to it. And I only played a year there, but it was like, man, that is wretched. Like you said, there's cows everywhere, and it was like, but it's great. It was actually, I would never change anything in my life. So that was awesome. Great.
So knowing the Jets were so close, playing in Brandon, how inspiring was that for you?
It was good, because that was my first training camp, and then I got sent back to junior. So I was actually like, you're more in tune to watch them versus I was playing out west for New West before I got traded.
That's as far as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're going to get Vancouver.
I like how
games.
you go from the furthest part of the Western Hockey League all the way to the other.
So it's not like I'm close. Yeah, I'm like far. as
Nothing
you
in the
can-
middle.
Right. So they said it'd be a little bit closer so we can kind of watch you. And
Yeah.
which was great. And like John Ferguson was absolutely phenomenal to me. Like he was like my ambassador, pusher, like guy that, hey, you can do this. And, as long as you stop the puck, you'll have an opportunity to play. You don't stop the puck, and it's that simple. You don't play, and that's just hockey, right? So
Okay, let's go into John a little bit more. Like I've heard great things about him.
he was phenomenal for me. Like
Yeah.
he was literally
To have something like that in your corner.
is awesome. Like
Huge.
huge. Because I didn't get drafted, right? And he
Yeah.
just took a liking to me right off the hop. And he'd come in, sit down with his big cigar, and I was scared to death of him.
Yes.
You heard the story. And he's a big man. He's not like he's a big imposing figure. So when you see him, yes, Mr. Ferguson, yes, Mr. Ferguson. But he was super. I can't thank that guy enough. Like honestly,
It's- You've had some great people backing you up over the years. That plays a large role. But the fact that you just never let up, such a huge part of this. So when you get to the NHL and you're an NHLer, what did you let off at all? Did you relax at all, or was that more? I got to stay to this. Like you've achieved your dream.
Right, but
Yeah.
you're in a locker room with a bunch of guys, and you look at these guys. Oh, I saw him on TV. Oh, I saw him on TV.
Yeah.
So now you're thinking, the scenario is, and it's hockey guys live this. It's easy to get there. It's harder to stay. Mm-hmm. So that's the hardest. That was always in my mind. It's easy to kind of get here, which we know it's not easy. But once you're there, you're living your dream. Now, how do I stay? So you got to do a little bit more to stay, and there's always somebody trying to get to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always in the back of your mind. So you don't really get the let off. If you let off, you're not gonna be there. So I kind of seen both.
Yeah.
Some days you let off, or sometimes you did and you got sent down. Not really let off, but it was just it's a grind. It's tough. It's tough.
If you could explain to anybody now, and especially your children, what the grind of the NHL was like, what would be the main thing you would tell them?
It's always you always have to perform, and there's no days off.
Right.
Because those days off, somebody takes your spot. Now I get the league is a little different. It's younger. These kids are really talented. They're really so they train 24 hours a day. We were a little different because it's an older, we were way different. I don't want to,
Did you come to training camp to get in shape?
Yeah, like everybody else. But I really didn't let myself get too
No.
But because our training camps were a month.
Yeah.
Now they're like, what, 10 days, 3 days?
It's insane how fast it is. Yeah.
They're going. We had like overtime. Here you go. So, and even we had played more games. They play a little lesser amount of games, but they're ready to go as soon as that puck is dropped, right? So, and you just learn with that group of guys when you come in the 80s and 90s. It's okay. This is how we do it. You go back, take your breaks, get yourself ready. You come in. Okay, I got 1 month to get myself into tip-top shape, and hopefully you don't get hurt because it slows you down the process.
When you play in a small market like Winnipeg, when did you start walking around? Because the mask is on a lot. But when did you start walking around Winnipeg, and when did they start recognizing you, and when did you start to embrace that?
It was quick because being of color,
Of course.
there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And I did first year I wore a cage. Like, we wore the cages. It wasn't the full face mask. It was a transition change from face mask to half face mask and goalie. Right.
Yeah.
So it was never, Winnipeg is like my second home. They embraced me as soon as I stepped on the ice. It was like literally the most gratifying feeling I've ever had in my life. Like it wasn't like, because there's nowhere to hide. I am who I am. This is my color.
So when you're out grocery shopping,
Yep. Hey,
no
how you
difference,
doing?
right?
No
Like
difference.
They would just come up to you and start talking to you?
Hey, how you doing? Your neighbors. Hey, what's great job? You guys should be doing. Everybody has a.
Yes.
But it comes with the territory, right? So it was awesome.
How much did you enjoy that?
I loved that. I love Winnipeg. I love the city. Never, as much as people want to say, some days you're having great days, bad days. You're human, right? But it was 9 out of 10 times, hey, great job. You guys should be this. And you guys, but they always recognize you, and they were always good to me. So.
How important is it to have one of your kids born here then? Like when you bring your son back?
He's like my trophy. I don't like to say that because I love my kids all the same. So, but he's like.
Make sure the other ones don't see the podcast.
Right, but they all, if you're a hockey guy and you played along enough, your kids are born in each place. So I got 3 Americans, 1 Canadian. So it is what it is. But he's kind of like, he's 33 now, but he's into coaching. He's played a little bit. Played in the East Coast. He's played overseas, so he's played, a 10-year career. Obviously, we live in America now, but
Yeah.
Canadian at heart. Jumped off my seat as soon as Canada won. I'm like, I couldn't even watch. My wife is like, don't tell me. Don't say a word. Just let this go. So.
The way the game was played when you played, you were in the, like, hockey was all offense. Mm-hmm. The fact, what was that like? Because, especially with the Edmonton Oilers kicking around at that point, but hockey was all offense. It was a tough time to be a goaltender.
Junior,
period.
you saw that in junior
Yes.
how it worked. So if you look at our averages, they were like 5, 6. I don't care who you. It could be Patrick. Everybody had the same thing. So it was like
Save percentage 890.
yeah. 890. Like, you guys
Maybe.
stop the puck. You guys stop. Not every shot's a breakaway. But it was it's different time. But it was a great way to enjoy the game. Kind of. It was like last shot wins sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It was always like a race for the sprints. So, but it was tough. It's tough on goalies because they did. My theory was, as long as I don't let that other one in,
Yeah.
I should be good. I mean, that's how it was. It was just a lot of goals, a lot of offensive opportunities. Right?
Listen, you played in the hardest division in hockey, the Smite division. There was no easy nights in the Smite division ever.
No.
So it must not have been that great all the time. But what about, that makes you a better goaltender, does it not? With the amount of quality players and teams
It
that
makes
you
you
face.
have a lot of sleepless nights. I can tell you that much. Rolling up, and the Edmonton Oilers are coming in steaming. I remember the first time I ever played them, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. They all lined up, Messier.
Yeah.
I remember the first shot he scored. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be long.
Yeah.
And you're in there, and there's nothing.
That power play must have been something else to go.
You don't even want to know, bro. It's like one of those.
You're probably telling the guys, please do not take a penalty at some point.
I don't know what to tell you. It's just one of those things you sit there thinking, eh. And it was Gretzky's back there setting up in the office, and it's just like, can I keep it under 7 tonight? Or 9? Let me see if I can keep it under 9 tonight. Because we know
that's our goal.
yeah, because we know
9.
he's going to get his.
You guys need to score 10, we'll be fine.
We'll be good. Never happened a lot, but
When you watch the way the guys shoot the puck nowadays, your thoughts?
I'm glad I'm sitting and watching.
Yeah.
Because the equipment is better.
Yes.
So the shots are a lot harder. So, I've teached a little bit of hockey here and there and coached a little bit. And it's crazy how much equipment has evolved and how much it's helped the game. And those kids shoot pucks. They shoot them. So it's a lot different. So
Where was the worst place you got hit? Because of I remember the equipment back in the 80s. Not good.
I said that's why the
Heavy goal pads.
even people don't realize, even when you got hit in the pads,
Yeah.
you felt it in your shin. Because that dare hair would get wet and just slide down. So people thought, get a slap shot from Al McGinnis. I don't care who.
Oh, my gosh.
Who, Al Iafrate?
Yeah.
Those guys still, with wooden sticks, were shooting at 100 and some miles an hour. So
Could you imagine today with the...
no, I couldn't imagine the poor, you'd be, I don't know what to tell you. But there was days like you come and our gear was your elbows and my shoulders, and the worst spot that normally get hit would be around your collarbone because you really didn't have the hanging stuff. And as the goalies, as it evolved, we would put patches on. I'd say, Zinger, put something on. Zinger, put it on. Take something off, put something back on, because you get hit with your stick side all the time on that, and you just drop the stick because your hand just goes numb, right? So, in the game, gears, it's a lot better, put it that way. I've seen some of the kids' gear, it's like light. Our stuff would get wet, take about 8 days to dry, and it's that pure leather back then, right? So.
And the gloves too, right? So and that little plastic shield inside the blockers.
Yeah, there was the little, our gear was for the time.
Yeah.
That's what it was, right? You didn't have 2 sets. It was one, dry it, try your best to get it going.
What about the evolution of masks? Like, how hard was it to adapt to vision with the cage?
I think it was actually better because the cages were more, if you got hit in the face, it didn't absorb the shock.
Yeah.
So you could feel your chin go back. So once it got the half mask and the shield, it deflected. So as you got hit in the face, it was more like just a ringing in your ear versus your jaw being sort of like somebody punched you in the face. So it's a little bit different, yeah.
And you can't flick off your mask like nowadays. The whistle blows immediately. You guys had to keep going.
Yeah, there's no. In our day, like you said, if your helmet popped off, you ended up playing. And you're like, oh, I remember those goalies. I watched them with no mask, right? I'm like, oh.
Is that like when you play the position and you realize guys back and they didn't play without a helmet or a face mask? That's insane. Another level.
I think my first year, I want to say one goalie played without. I can't remember. I think the last guy to play without a mask was Gump Worsley.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. And I remember playing with Randy Carlisle. He didn't wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys didn't. But until you actually in net and you're seeing and you can hear guys hitting a stick off his head, I'm like, come on now.
Yeah.
Everybody else has got a helmet on except for you. Oh, but our hair is falling out. We're getting older. So it's not about a flow anymore, right? It's about protection. So
Especially LI for 80.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. But that's the time, right?
Yeah. Last one for you. So the smaller goaltenders are coming back. Like Dustin Wolf is.
Yeah, which is good to see because
That's about athleticism, right? Thomas Milic here.
Yep.
As a Winnipeg Jet prospect as well, like a smaller goaltender, but it's about athleticism. You would have to say, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it seems like the bigger guys get a little bit more hurt because they're bigger. The younger guys, or not the younger, but the smaller guys are more compact.
Yeah.
So their durability may be a little bit. Because your limbs aren't as long or whatever it is, but it's good to see that it's dropped back a little bit, which allows more goalies to have an opportunity to play in the league. So,
hey, listen, it's been fun catching up with you.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you, and congratulations on this night and being an ambassador for Black History Month. And looking forward to see you down the road.
Perfect. Nice meeting you. Thanks so much.